Good morning, everybody. That means Kathy. This is Las Cumbres Yoga Online. We're doing this for a while so that we can practice social distancing, practice yoga, and keep ourselves healthy and keep others healthy. So several people said they were interested in coming. Kathy's the only one that's here at this moment, and she's from Portland. So, hi, Kathy. So she and I are going to do the practice because we need the practice just as much as anybody else. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go down to the floor, which is I don't usually do actually, and I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to think I have a new laptop because my other one broke. I'm going to pin Kathy's video so that I can, I don't have the pleasure or the disturbance of looking at myself while I eat the thing. I think that sounds awful. We're going to start with just lying on the back, supine, with some towels under our head or something. I'm going to put a blanket under my head, folded up blanket. And just take some breaths here. Can you hear me, Kathy?
Yes, yeah.
Good. I think the speakers on this laptop are better than the old one.
Yeah, no, very well. The sound is good.
Just take some breaths, just native breath. Let your body sink into the floor. And pay attention to your breath without trying to change it. If you hear other noises, outside noises, inside noises, just allow that to be part of your experience. Don't shove it away. Don't grab onto it. Just let it be there. Go ahead and wrap your hands around your rib cage with your thumbs down. No, just to the side, at the side. Hold on to your side of your rib cage, just below your chest, with your thumbs down and your fingers up. So just like a little L. This is just so you can notice the next breathing practice we're going to do, which is a controlled breathing. Before that, we were just watching the breath, observing the breath. Now you're going to breathe into the thoracic, into the rib cage breathing. And as you inhale, notice the expansion. The ribs will expand, and the diaphragm actually expand out to the side. And on an exhale, it'll all come back. And on an inhale, the rib cage expands side to side and back to front. So make sure this is an expansion in all directions. And make your rib cage breathing practice slow and deep. I encourage this breathing practice during COVID-19 because COVID-19 is a respiratory illness, and this is going to keep your diaphragm active and healthy. So we're going to stay here an extra long time, but we'll be here about 4 minutes. Do all your breathing through your nose, unless your nose is stuffed up. In that case, exhale through the mouth. So the belly should be moving very little. The movement here is in the rib cage. Take a minute to set an intention for your practice. Bring your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers. Rest your occipital ridge or the base of your skull in your interlaced fingers, your hands. Without moving anything else but your eyeballs, shift your eyeballs to the right and wait for a swallow, yawn, sigh, or gulp. And then come back to center and shift your eyeballs, nothing else, to the left. Come back to center and do 2 more sets of vagus nerve reset without my cues. This is a breathing practice. Well, it's actually it's a breathing and eyeball shifting practice that resets the vagus nerve and releases and reduces stress. Keep your hands where they are. Press the base of your skull into your hands. Head ramping. And hold for a breath or two, and then release and repeat. Notice when you press your head into your occipital ridge or the base of your skull into your hands, your chin drops. This is a move that counteracts forward head, text neck, and poor posture. And it trains the cervical spine and the shoulders to reset where they're designed to be. Do one more head ramp. Then bring your hands in front of you. This is for a hypopressive breathing practice. So bring your hands in front of your chest as if you're hugging. Start by going as if you're hugging a tree, and then flip your hands. So the arms stay the same, the hands flip. Toes up toward the ceiling, heels stay on the floor, so dorsiflex the feet. Feel the backs, the scapula pressing into the floor, so your shoulders are active. Take 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. After this exhale, hold your breath out. The belly scoops, the rib cage widens. I'm going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, don't breathe. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just relax. Drop your hands and take some breaths just to keep up with yourself. Have you been doing hypopressives, Kathy?
No. Can you tell?
It's a good thing to do for any number of reasons. Go ahead, we'll do another one. Same pattern, same shape. Dorsiflex your feet. Yes. So the dorsiflexion of the feet actually increases the engagement of the pelvic floor. Okay. 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. I've lost track. Let's do one more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Hold your breath out. No breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Go ahead and relax your arms.
That one was easier.
That one was easier?
Yeah.
Let's do one more. Same shape. There are other shapes to be had, but we're going to just stick with this one shape. You look good. So start to take 3 breaths. Breath number 2. Breath 3. Hold your breath out, no breath. The belly scoops, the rib cage widens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice. We're going to do today, unless you have special requests, we're going to do a side lying practice because I think it's an easy one to remember. If you memorize it, you can do it before you get out of bed in the morning. So you're the model, and you're going to lie on your side. I'm going to do this too. You're going to lie on your side, and
Move back just a little.
you're going to lie on your side and take you're going to stack your ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders. If you don't have enough room for your shoulder, your bottom shoulder, you'll want to put some more towels on your brick or something to make a bigger space between for your shoulder.
Let's see, let's try thicker brick.
The thick brick is usually better, but
yeah, that is better.
And for some people, even thicker than that, but I think yours looks fine. So for some people, you can turn it on the other edge and make it even thicker. So there you are, and your top arm is going to come straight out in front of you.
Oh, I know what you're going to do. Hold on. Let me,
Yeah, that's good. So straight out in front of you, and this is a scapula movement. So it's protraction and retraction. So the first thing you're going to do is just take your scapula and move it away from your spine. And the arm comes forward when you do that. And then retracting, the scapula returns and moves toward the spine. Retraction. So just slowly, with awareness and breath, move the scapula, retract it and protract it. And try to make it a movement from the scapula, not the arm. So the arm moves because the scapula moves. And keep the torso still. And keep the shoulders stacked. And this is a very important but small movement. And then go ahead and bring your arm up towards the ceiling for the second movement, which is just a lateral abduction, adduction, and then bring the arm down. It's called also sunrise, sunset. So up you go. This is more of an arm bone movement, there's less scapula. There's a little scapula. You can feel a little bit of scapular movement. And just all of these movements, very slowly, quietly aware of the movement. Imagine what is happening at the head of the arm bone. What is happening at the glenohumeral joint with the head of the arm bone, the head of the humerus. Do it a couple more times. If you pay attention to it, you actually fatigue earlier. One more. Keep your arm up. Put your bottom arm at the head of the arm bone, the head of the femoris. Try to find that bone. And then keep your arm straight up toward the ceiling. And internally rotate and externally rotate. Do the movement at the arm bone, not the wrist or the elbow. You come as far forward as you can, as far back as you can. Forward is an internal rotation at the head of the femoris, and back is an external rotation. Make it slow and easy. Make sure that the work or the movement is happening down at the shoulder joint and not at the wrist or elbow. Slow, slow and aware. Then just go ahead and drop your arm along your hip. Straight arm along the hip. So put your hand on your hip. We're going to do snow angels. So we did 3. If you can remember these in sets of 3, you'll have a home practice. Let me review the first set actually. So the first thing you did was scapular retraction, protraction, right? The next one is lateral abduction, adduction, open, close. And then the last one in that triplet is internal and external rotation of the arm bone. Okay, the shoulder. Now we're going to do 3 more shoulder moves. And the first one is called Snow Angels. You're going to start with your palm facing forward. So it's a slight external rotation. Hopefully the movement happened at the shoulder. And then then take it all the way back, actually. So that's, no, sorry, just keep your arm straight. Internally rotate one more notch, so farther back, yes. Now bring the arm up alongside your ear, all the way up to your ear. So by the time you reach your ear, it's facing the floor. And then face your palm forward, and then come all the way back. So this is just 2 different levels, degrees of external rotation. Now rotate a little farther, externally rotate, bring the arm all the way up towards the ear. And then change the arm so that the palm is facing forward and come back. It's still a slightly externally rotated movement. Extreme external rotation, the arm comes up to the ear. Bring it back a notch, and it comes down to the hip. You can do that a couple more times on your own, being aware of breath and movement. One more. Bring your arm back to your hip and start a shoulder circle. So just, let's start to the back. Go ahead and bring your arm to the back, overhead by the ear, and forward. It grazes the hip, the arm grazes the hip, it starts to move back behind you. And forward. Try to keep this in the arms, the glenohumeral joint. Keep your shoulders stacked. Keep the torso quiet. Doesn't this feel good?
Yeah, it does.
Reverse your direction. And one more. And then the third one in this triplet is flying pizza. So bend your elbow. This is just moving the forearm. So you start face down when your forearm is parallel. Start with your forearm parallel to the floor. So your hand is forward, elbow is bent. So the elbow is bent. There, it looks like that. Palm is face down. Now, from here, you take your hand and bring it up towards the ceiling, and the palm starts to face the ear by the time you get to the top. This is actually several things. It strengthens the shoulder blades, the muscles around the shoulder blades. You ought to be able to feel it in the back of the shoulder and the shoulder blades, scapula. The other thing is, you might notice, is a wrist movement. So and just do that a couple times. A couple more times. Watching your breath and the movement. One more. And relax. Go ahead and straighten your top leg. Droop your toes. Keep your shoulders and your hips stacked. Your bottom leg can be straight or bent. And then you're just going to lift the leg lifts, and lower it, and lift, and lower, and lift, and lower, lift, and lower, and lift, and lower. 2 more times. And now we're going to do extension and flexion with a straight leg. So you're going to bring your leg forward. So this is all at the hip joint. Keep the torso, the pelvis stable. And forward again. You can dorsiflex as you come forward and plantar flex as you go back. When you get all the way to the back, you can squeeze your buttocks for extra bonus. Dorsiflex forward, plantar flex back, squeeze the buttocks, and release and come forward again. Plantar flex, squeeze the buttocks, come forward. Do it slowly. Keep the movement in the hip joint. So the movement stays in one place. You're flexing and extending at the hip joint. Keep the pelvis and the shoulders and the face quiet. We'll do one more. Bend your knees and stack them. Stack the knees and the ankles. You might, and then we're going to do clams. So keep the ankles and the feet together and lift the top leg away from the bottom, the top knee away from the bottom knee, and then bring it back down. And up it goes. Slowly, imagine what's happening in the hip. This is a rotation at the hip. Breathing, aware of breath, aware of movement. Isolate the movement. We're going to expand on this and bring your knees a little farther closer to your chest so you can put your top hand on your knee. And we're going to add a resistance component to clams. So as your knee comes up, your hand is resisting the upward movement of the knee. As the knee comes down, the knee is resisting, the hand is winning, and the knee is resisting. So up, the knee goes up, the hand resists, the hand pushes down, and the knee resists. You should feel this in the buttocks, actually. Most up and down, resistant clams. This will fatigue you very quickly, so don't do too many.
Yeah, I feel like deep.
And the other thing you need to do is make sure that you're not fighting with yourself. This is more of a dance, a resisting dance, but a dance than it is a war. You can pound the back of your hip if you want. Might help. So that is the one side of a side lying practice, a whole body side lying practice. We're going to go in the middle before we go to the other side. We're going to go to the middle, do some 3 prone movements. So the first one is just on your belly and with your elbows bent and propping. You're propping yourself on your elbows. This allows for a really nice stretch along the thoracic spine, but it also creates a lot of openness in the respiratory tract. So the lungs, and so what you can do here while you're here and propping, and remember, it doesn't. You don't want it to go into the lower back. So if it did, you're going to have to modify it a little bit. So what I want you to do is notice your breathing. So take 6 very deep breaths here. You're looking at the floor so that your spine, your cervical spine, is an extension of your thoracic spine. Deep breath. One more breath. And then come down onto your belly with your hands beside you, along your hips, palms up. We're going to do a back extension, and then we're going to add airplane so that the arms come out to the side. I may not be able to add it. I don't think I have the space for it, but I'm going to have you add it. So stay here, face down. I'm going to have my face to the side because I can't talk otherwise. Face down, ankles together, palms facing up, arms at the side. Take an inhale to prepare and an exhale to lift your chest, your head, and your arms. Stay here for 2 breaths. Inhale again, and then exhale and return to the floor. Inhale to prepare. Exhale to lift the chest, the head, the hands. Stay here for 2 breaths. Inhale, and then exhale, return to the floor. If you have a bony pubis bone, which I do, you may want to put a blanket underneath your pubic bone. We're going to add airplane arms. I may not add arms. I'm not sure I'm going to have the room to do it, but you're going to add them. So take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, lift. Inhale, prepare. And then exhale, the arms come out to the side, airplane. Stay here for a couple breaths. Inhale, and then return everything to the floor. And rest. We're going to do that again. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, lift, chest, head, arms, back extension. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, the arms come out into an airplane. Stay here, 2 breaths. Inhale to prepare and exhale to return. Just stay here and rest. You can either rest your head on the floor or rest your head on your crossed arms. Bring your arms out in a T, palms down. Keep the arms and the shoulders on the floor and the hands. Take your right leg, lift it up a little bit and hover it over across the opposite leg as far as you can without lifting your shoulders. Stay here. And then come on back. Rest that leg. Lift the other leg up and over. over its opposite leg. Keep the shoulders, armpits, arms on the floor. And come on back. Do that one more time. Right leg up and over, it's a hover. You should feel the release. This is a thoracic upper back release. Come back. And other side. Left leg up and over to the right. Stay here. If this starts to involve your lumbar spine or your lower back, you've gone too far. Come on back. Bring your arms, cross your arms in front of you and rest again. This is a crocodile resting pose. And then let's go to the other side for the rest of the sideline series. Okay, the first one is a retraction and protraction of the scapula. So the top arm goes straight forward. And remember, the movement is scapular. So protract, just move the scapula away from the spine, and then retract, move it back as far as you can. And then protract forward and retract back. Slow with awareness and breath. Creating mobility and stability in the scapula. And then let's do the second movement in this triplet. Arm up toward the ceiling, and then bring it back. So you open it and close it. Slowly with awareness and breath, what's happening at the arm joint, at the head of the humerus and the glenohumeral joint. Make it slow, make it easy. And one more. Keep your arm up when it arrives up, pointing toward the ceiling. Touch your arm joint, the head of the humerus, where it meets the glenohumeral joint, and then do an internal rotation and an external rotation of the arm bone. So you roll it forward as far as you can, and then backward as far as you can. And make the movement happen at the shoulder joint, not at the wrist or the elbow. The wrist and the elbow comes along for the ride. And one more. And then just bring your arm down by your side. Rest for a minute. You're probably feeling a little heat in your shoulder by now.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then externally rotate your arm as far as it'll go. No, that's an internal rotation. Yes, that's an external. Now, bring your arm up by your ear. And then rotate it a little inward, but it's still an external rotation. And then bring it all the way back, the palms forward. Externally rotate, extreme, the other direction, and then come on up back. And then face forward, palm forward, and then come back. So really it's 2 different degrees of external rotation is what you're moving in. And come on back. And one more. Return. Rest for a minute or few seconds, and then we're going to do arm circles starting backward. So bring the arm back behind you, and then up by your ear, and then forward and down by the hip. And you just keep going slowly, teaching the arm to move in the arm bone to move in the glenohumeral joint in a very functional way. Reverse your circle. And one more. Bring your hand to your hip. Bend your elbow. Your forearm is parallel to the floor, palm down. And then you're going to bring the forearm up and rotate the wrist as you do. And then down, palm facing the floor, palm facing your ear or your head. And down. This is a shoulder movement and a wrist movement, actually. You take it easy, as slow, easy does it. Easy aware. And that's enough. Just rest your arm on your hip. Straighten your top leg. Droop your toes and straight leg lifts. So keep your pelvis stacked, your hips stacked, your pelvis stable. The movement is all in the hip joint. Keep your legs straight and move it forward, dorsiflexing the foot for flexion of the hip joint, and then backward for extension. Plantar flex the foot and squeeze the buttocks as you arrive to the back destination. Forward, dorsiflex, backward, plantar flex, squeeze the buttocks. Slow and easy does it. Be aware of the movement. Keep your torso from moving. The only thing that's moving is the head of the femur, the thigh bone in the hip joint. And one more. And go ahead and bend your knees for clams. So the feet and the ankles are going to stay together. The hips are going to stay stacked. The knee moves, top knee moves away from the bottom knee. Try to keep the movement isolated in the hip joint so that the pelvis and the torso doesn't move. Use your breath, or be aware of your breath and your movement. This is a rotation of the femur. And then go ahead and we're going to add resistance here. So you're going to bring your knees a little farther forward so that your hand can lie on your knees and add the resistance. And as your knee goes up, the hand resists the upward movement of the knee. And then as the hand pushes the knee down, the knee resists the downward movement. So up with resistance and down, the hand pushes down with resistance from the knee. And you should start feeling this in the glutes, actually. Whenever you add resistance, you're increasing the muscle, the contraction the relax and contract response in the muscle. Now, don't wear yourself out. Do a couple more. This can be exhausting, especially if you're, well, it is. It's a good way to practice resistance movements. I'm going to check the time here. Okay, well, that's about it. That's about it. Let's go ahead and lie down. Just find a comfortable supine position with your legs either extended or knees bent. Something comfortable. Something comfortable under your head. We're just going to do ribcage breathing again because I think ribcage breathing is going to be an important part of your anti-coronavirus practice. All breathing, but I think this is probably the best breathing that I know of right now anyway. So put your hands around, wrap your hands around your ribcage, close your eyes, take a deep inhale, expand side to side and back to front, and then exhale. And make this deep and slow, and keep it in the rib cage, in the thoracic spine, at the diaphragm. So there's not much going on at the belly. If you have any friends who are at risk, you might, and you think that they would appreciate one suggestion, this would be mine. Rib cage breathing. One more. And then just bring your arms beside your hips and watch your breath, watch your native breath, and watch the space around the breath. So watch the thing that is the breath, and watch the space around the thing or around the breath. Maybe this will mean that at the end of the breath, you'll watch that space that happens before you take, at the end of an exhale, before you take an inhale, or at the end of an inhale, before you take an exhale. Go ahead and bring your legs together and your arms over your head and stretch and stretch and try to create more space between your rib cage and your pelvis. Just stretch and one side and then the other, and wiggle your fingers and your toes. Stretch one side, stretch the other side. And when you're finished with that, hug your right knee to your chest and your left knee. And then rock your knees from side to side. And then roll to the side. Use your top hand to bring yourself up to seated. Sit in a comfortable floor-seated position. Bring your hands to your heart. Feel the occipital ridge lift while your chin drops. We're going to close the class by saying to each other, Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That was a good class.
I'm going to stop